Hey, this is V, and I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what happened in episode 11 of Mr. Queen. This episode is all about the ledger, the concubines, and the festival. So in the beginning of the episode, we see that Hwa Jin still has this ledger. She gives the ledger to Debbie. Debbie happily accepts it, and in fact, Debbie's like, wow, Hwa Jin is so blinded by trying to get rid of the queen that she does not realize that this ledger can eliminate the entire Kim family. And that's exactly what Debbie wants to do. Cut to the queen, who was having her fabulous nighttime dream about the concubines that turns into a dream about the king, which she hated. She wakes up, decides to talk to the doctor about it. The doctor tells her, hey, just go with it. You won't feel bad if you just go with this feeling now. The queen's like, look, no. So she thinks I need to get these concubines so I can try to get my man energy back. She asks the doctor to prepare more facial items for the queen and goes to the queen to present her with all these facial items. And I think she does it so that she can get full reign of these concubines and picking the right concubine that she wants. She goes about picking the concubines, eliminates everyone from the Han family, which is the family that tricked her in the present day Seoul. So Han Sil-jang is the person that worked in the Blue House and, tried to eliminate him when he was a boy. So she eliminates all the Han people. There's this huge stack of Han families that you'll probably think about going through later. And she picks the concubines. This time, she gets to bring all the concubines to the palace so that she can see what they look like and decides to pick them all based on just if they look cute, innocent, sweet. She just picks the prettiest ones and the cutest ones. Picks 3 of them, all just based on looks and personality, and ends up spending the rest of the day with them, having a really nice just day together where she gets to do all her fantasy things like walk with them, all flirting with her. She takes a bath with all of them, a hot bath with them all flirting with her again. And at the end of the night, she wishes them all goodbye. All the concubines are going to be sleeping at the palace because they're presented to the king. The king agrees with what the queen said, except the king thinks that these concubines are perfect because they come from the perfect families, as in they come from the most powerful families that he can pick in order to increase his power in the palace. And that's one of his main things this episode. He really wants to increase his power in the palace. So accidentally, So-young, or the queen, picked the right people. Of course, she picked them for the wrong reasons. But this leads to a really funny situation in the palace where that night, So-young, the queen, wants to chat with the concubines. She thinks, oh, text messages aren't invented yet, so I'll just send a manual cat talk. So she writes like 3 notes on 3 simple sheets of paper, which is just, are you awake? Which is a text message a dude would send a girl, late at night. Gives it to her messengers to go give it to the 3 concubines, 1 letter for each. However, the messengers kind of get confused on the way and end up giving it to the king. The king reads all 3 letters and is like, what? Are you awake? Are you awake? Are you awake? What is this? He writes a letter back to her. His letter back is a really gorgeous poem. The queen gets it and is like, wow, so I got a letter back from one of the concubines, huh? So she thinks it's just the concubines. She writes a letter back and tries to be really poetic in her letter as well, though she's just trying to remember all the famous poems in Korea and all the famous song lyrics and tries to put them in this letter form to get back to the king. They go back and forth with these letters all night long. The king just loves it. The queen does not even know that she's writing to the king. The next morning, the king tries to talk to her and she's like, ew, get away from me, and just leaves. So he's just left completely confused about the whole situation. But he thinks, oh, maybe she's just being shy in the daytime and is really exciting at nighttime. The king's number 1 priority this episode is trying to prepare for the festival. And this festival is something, it appears, of a tradition. It's kind of like getting the demons out of the palace festival. So it happens, I don't know if it happens every year, but it happens enough to not be like something brand new that's going on. So everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing, and the king is preparing everything for it. Jwa-gun and his people know that the ledger is missing, and they think the king has it. They think the king is going to make a big deal about this festival and reveal the ledger at the festival. So their goal is to just mess up the festival a whole bunch so that the king won't be able to present this ledger. He'll be too busy trying to solve all these issues going wrong in the festival. So he hires his masked man with the scar on his chin to kill all the people delivering food to the festival. Poor guys. They destroy all the food, basically. They put rocks in the rice, make sure all the dried food's gone bad. It's a disaster. But the festival has to continue. Everyone gets ready for the festival. The concubines are going to be there. The brand new concubines are going to be there. Hwa-jin, Debbie, the grandmother queen, everybody's going to be there. And it's a huge deal. On the day of the festival, Debbie is trying to figure out what the queen has, what the queen knows, and wants to look through all the queen's things. So she goes to the queen's room, tells her that she would like to be pampered and treated well like she treats the grandmother queen. Why don't you make me some food? Which sends the queen out of her room to go try and make this food for Debbie. The queen makes popcorn for her. She actually makes kettle corn, so the sweet and salty popcorn. Makes it, hand carries it back to her room because all the servants and everybody are just super busy at the moment trying to fix this no food, all the food's gone bad issue. Sees Han Shil-jung. Actually, she sees somebody who looks exactly like him, which means this dude is in the same Han family. And this guy might be evil in the past too, because it looks like he's poisoning something. He's putting something in a barrel. She sees him and is like, "Hey, I know you, Han Shil-jung," and tries to run after him, but she trips over her dress. The popcorn goes everywhere. It sticks like in her hair and her clothes. So she just goes back to her room fuming, upset, and tries to give Debbie one of the popcorns from her hair. It upsets Debbie a lot. Debbie just storms out. So she just made Debbie not like her even more than she already does not like her. The festival starts. It is gorgeous. I mean, this festival is so nice. They have all the dancers. They have a lot of martial artists coming out, doing a lot of performances. Everyone is dressed their best. There are two festivals. One is for the women and one is for the men. And they're in two different courtyards, which appear to be right next to each other. The men's festival is like a lot of warriors fighting. The women's festival is a lot of people dancing. The grandmother queen is bored out of her mind in the women's festival. And Debbie tries to step to her on that other side in the women's festival. So the grandmother queen, when all of the ladies leave to go on their hunting expedition, decides to leave that festival and go to the king's festival. And she sits with the king's festival. But she also has another reason she's going to the king's festival. She remembers what Byung-in told her about how, "I think my father is wrong. I think the king is a lot stronger of a man than he's pretending to be." So the queen tells the king that she's upset that she missed all of the martial artists doing their thing. She wants the king to give her a martial arts exhibit. So everyone's like, "Ooh." So the king's like, "All right, I'll do it for you." He goes out there with a fan to give the martial arts exhibit with Byung-in. And that's when they have their fan fight. At first, Byung-in is winning, but then the king comes back and it's just amazing. So the king starts winning. Everybody is gasping and just in awe about, how well the king's doing right now. Meanwhile, the hunting expedition is going on in the woods. And, oh God, this hunting expedition is just hilarious, but, cruel, because they have all the maids and eunuchs have these signs on them that say whether they're a tiger, a fox, or a wolf, or a rabbit, and they're the ones that have to get shot. but not, shot with a real bow and arrow. It's almost like playing paintball guns. They get shot with an arrow that has just like a little ball on it. But still, it's painful. So they're like, oh man, I gotta run away from these people trying to shoot me. The queen's not into it. She's just kind of meandering around. And that's when Hua Jin spots her, pulls her bow and arrow out to shoot the queen. The queen was collecting acorns, so she's just like, whoa, what's about to go on? Hua Jin looses her arrow to shoot the queen. And at the same time, we see the fan war going on between Byung-in and the king. They both jump into the air like they're in Juno and are about to hit each other. During the fight with the fans, Byung-in realized that the king is actually the person he fought that night. The person who was trying to kill the queen, back in like episode 2 or something, when they were all drunk and the king was like, oh man, I gotta kill the queen if she heard what I said. So yes, the king, the way he's moving, the way he has his arms up, and the way he kind of sometimes covers his face with the fan reminds Byung-in of that guy. So now he knows this is the guy. So that's something important to mention. So we'll see what happens with that situation. And that's basically everything that happened in this episode. I cut out some tiny scenes that you'll see when watching it, but this episode is really just about picking the concubines and the festival and the book, the ledger. The king, his friends, and the Kim family are really concerned about this ledger, trying to find it. Debbie has the ledger. She knows how powerful it is. Hua Jin gave her the ledger. The concubines are just happy to be in the palace. They're just super excited, pampered rich girls who are pretty. They're just having fun with the queen. And the festival is still going on. So it should be going on in the next episode. All right, so that is the quick breakdown of what happened in Mr. Queen episode 11. And we will see you on the next episode.